Now this is the story of Joseph in Egypt. It's coming from Genesis 39 through 41. Now Potiphar had put everything in his house in charge of Joseph. He didn't have to worry about anything in his house. But Potiphar's wife took notice of Joseph and she tried to seduce him. But Joseph refused to do such a wicked thing and sin against God, and he stayed away from her. Now once when Joseph was alone in the house, Potiphar's wife grabbed his cloak, but Joseph ran out of the house, leaving his cloak behind. Now Potiphar's wife told Potiphar that Joseph had tried to attack her. She screamed, and Joseph ran out, leaving his cloak behind. So Potiphar put Joseph in the prison where Pharaoh kept his prisoners. Now the Lord was with Joseph in the prison, and he gave Joseph favor in the eyes of the prison warden, and the prison warden put everything under Joseph's charge in the prison. Now Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker had been put in the prison with Joseph, and one night they both had dreams that they couldn't interpret, and Joseph told them interpretations belonged to God, so they told Joseph their dreams. The cupbearer dreamt that he saw a vine with 3 branches that blossomed, its grapes ripened, and the cupbearer squeezed the grapes into Pharaoh's cup. And Joseph told the cupbearer that in 3 days he would be released, and that the cupbearer should remember Joseph to Pharaoh so that he could get out of the prison. So when the baker heard the favorable interpretation, he told Joseph his dream about how he dreamt that he had 3 baskets on his head, and in the top basket it was full of all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, but the birds of the air were eating them. And Joseph said, in 3 days Pharaoh will hang you, and the birds of the air will eat your flesh. And everything happened exactly like Joseph said, but the cupbearer forgot about Joseph. Now 2 years later, Pharaoh himself had 2 dreams, and Pharaoh in his first dream dreamt that there were 7 fat, healthy cows that came out of the Nile River. This was followed by 7 thin, ugly cows that came out of the Nile, and those thin cows ate the fat cows. Now in the second dream, the Pharaoh dreamt that there were 7 healthy heads of grain growing on a single stalk. Then 7 withered heads of grain sprouted and swallowed the 7 healthy heads. And none of Pharaoh's wise men could interpret the dreams. And then the cupbearer remembered how Joseph, the Hebrew slave, or the Hebrew prisoner, who had interpreted his dreams, was in the prison. So he told Pharaoh about Joseph, and Joseph was brought to the Pharaoh. And Pharaoh asked Joseph if he could interpret dreams, and Joseph said that God would interpret the dreams. So Pharaoh told Joseph about his 2 dreams, about the 7 thin, ugly cows that ate the 7 fat, healthy cows, and the 7 withered heads of grain that ate or swallowed the 7 healthy heads of grain. And Joseph said that the dreams were one, that God had showed Pharaoh what would happen in Egypt. There would be 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine. And Joseph said that Pharaoh should take 1/5 of the harvest during the abundance years and store it for the famine, and that he should put a wise man in charge of Egypt. And Pharaoh said, who was wiser than Joseph, in whom was the Spirit of God? And Pharaoh put a robe on Joseph. He put a ring on his finger, a gold ring on his finger, and a gold chain around his neck, and he gave him a special chariot. And Joseph was 30 years old when Pharaoh put him in charge of Egypt and made Joseph his second in command. Now, during the 7 years of abundance, Joseph stored huge quantities of grain, and when the famine came, the people cried out to Pharaoh for food, and the whole world came to Joseph to buy grain. And this is the story of Joseph in Egypt, coming from Genesis 39 through 41.